5 hidden secrets from ancient caves. Aside from being tourist hotspots, ancient caverns have always been perfect sources of mystery and speculations. Dark, cold, and isolated, these underground structures hold some of the oldest secrets of our world. Here are 5 hidden secrets from ancient caves. Number 5. Panchian Cave. There's a lot to tell just by looking at bones. It's easy for scientists who are analyzing human bones to pinpoint where the possessor of the bones spent his or her life. They can even determine the person's diet, the type of job they held, or if they had incurred any injuries. The same can be done with animal bones. However, there are some exemptions that appear to boggle everyone's minds. In China, in the Guzhan Plateau, there is a cave that is 1,600 feet above sea level. This means that it's practically on top of a mountain. Found inside were bones of prehistoric creatures like lumbering rhinos, stegodons, and giant buffalo. Most of these aforementioned animals were grazers. Some of them were carnivorous, but they usually went after those of smaller size than themselves. One of the pressing questions that emerged right off the bat is, how are these huge beasts able to make their way up to this mountain cave? Paleontologists, people who study the history of life here on Earth, first proposed that these insanely huge and heavy animals were dragged into the cave to be eaten by even larger animals. It didn't take long before their theory got debunked, however. Layers upon layers of soil deposits were examined, and they still couldn't find evidence of such huge predators. Much to their bewilderment, what they found instead was evidence of human activity, and they even found human teeth. Probing further, they discovered blade marks and chemical staining on some of the bones. It also appeared that several of them bore marks of being slaughtered. Others were cut, pounded by stone, and burned, suggesting that they were prepared and consumed. Aside from the bones of these giant animals, they also found bones of what seemed to be a giant ape. This beast was over 10 feet tall. However, it was an herbivore. Thus, it was unlikely to be the single entity responsible for such slaughter. The fact that there were no other bigger animals that they could find in the cavern complex adds more to the mystery behind the presence of human activity. Experts have now come to this notion. Could it be possible that there once lived a race of giant humans capable of hunting and gathering these animals? If yes, could it also be likely that these colossal ancestors of ours were actually domesticating them, considering that they also found piles of baby animal bones? As of now, our experts still have to identify these huge predators that brought these grazing animals high up to the mountains. Until then, the possibilities are endless, and they're admittedly scary to consider. Number 4. Royston Cave. Around 40 miles north of London, in the district of North Hertfordshire, England, is a little town called Royston. One of the most infamous landmarks there is a cave named after the place. Found beneath Melbourne Street, Royston Cave is actually an artificial cavern first discovered in 1742. One day, a construction worker who happened to be working in the area found a millstone under the ground. Curious, he lifted the heavy object, and he saw an entrance into a narrow shaft which led into an unknown interior. Considering how tiny the space was, the crowd decided to appoint a small boy to enter the hole. With rope wound around his body, the boy was lowered down slowly into what later appeared to be a complex network of underground tunnels. Soon more and more people were able to go down into the cave. They found the entire space filled with dirt and rock. When it was cleared, they uncovered a huge expanse of strange carvings sprawled on the walls of the lower part of the chamber. The etchings appeared so emotionally charged and symbolically rich. Try as they might, symbologists couldn't figure out the meanings behind them. Even more so, they didn't have the slightest idea of their origin and purpose. Aside from the unrecognizable ones, some Christian figures were found, including pictures of the Holy Family, St. John the Baptist, St. Lawrence, St. Christopher, and St. Thomas of Becket, to mention a few. There are also some paganistic ones, like the Sheila Nagig, figurative carvings of a naked woman displaying an exaggerated vulva. The presence of Royston Cave remains a big mystery. No one knows when it was constructed and who worked on it. Recently, there have been some theories suggesting that it could be the Knights Templar. Some say that the cave was built by Freemasons to serve as their headquarters. There have also been rumors saying that some notable local personalities built and used the place as a private venue for gatherings. Today, Royston Cave is registered as a historic England heritage site and is open to tourists. Number 3. Carpathian Mountain Cave. When we talk of Transylvania, Romania, what automatically comes into mind is Dracula, the original vampire. But more than this infamous figure, the medieval castles, cities, and ruins, this country also boasts other terrifying legends. In the 1960s, footprints were discovered in a cave located in the western Carpathian Mountains of Transylvania. In the Sieur-Izbuk Cave in the Carpathian Mountains, explorers found 400 sets of said human footprints, and according to the data collected from radiocarbon measurements, they were first assumed to be 10,000 to 15,000 years old. They were believed to be made by at least 6 or 7 people, including at least one child. They had probably entered the cave for shelter after a flood. The time frame given seemed to coincide around the time Homo sapiens thrived in the region. However, new carbon dating analysis conducted on the footprints brought forth some unnerving conclusions. It appears that the prints could have been around as early as 36,500 years ago. This now begs the question, who were these mysterious people that inhabited the cave, and what happened to them? There are scientists saying that Homo sapiens have probably been around for more than 100,000 years. This theory is based on tracks found in Tanzania, which were believed to be 120,000 years old. Should this be confirmed, it would mean that they are the world's oldest human footprints. However, since they were first found in 2011, this theory is yet to be proven. Because of this, the mysterious human-like footprints in the Carpathian Mountain Cave remain to be the oldest to ever be seen in Northern Europe as of right now. This finding goes on to show us that we still know very little about our human ancestry. Number 2. Denisova Cave. Offering a sweeping view of the Altai mountain ranges in southern Russia, overlooking the Anu River, where occasionally herds of animals gather to drink, is the Denisova Cave. Like a modern-day Manhattan penthouse, the Denisova Cave offers an unparalleled vantage point to spot game in the valley below. The position also gave a high observation point for defenders in times of invasion. Also, the location provides perfect refuge against the fierce Siberian storms. Anthropologists conducting research on the cave came across some interesting discoveries. They initially found out that the natural enclosure had been home to generations of Neanderthals, an extinct species of archaic humans who once roamed the Eurasia continent until about 40,000 years ago. Aside from them, Denisova Cave also harbored modern human beings. But then recently, scientists stumbled upon yet another unsettling piece of evidence suggesting that there could be a third type of settler. Researchers from Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology unearthed tooth fragments they initially thought to be from a cave bear. However, as they continued to scour the place, they found the remaining pieces that made up the whole tooth. It now became obvious to the scientists that they were dealing with a different creature. It appeared to be too large to come from Homo sapiens or Neanderthals. More investigations were conducted, and their hunch was that it came from a hominid, a kind that they had never encountered before. When they succeeded in decoding the DNA of the tooth, their assumption was finally proven. Indeed, it was from what was then an unknown early human species living in Eurasia hundreds of thousands of years ago. They now call it the Denisovan. The Denisovan hominins were believed to be closely related to Neanderthals. In fact, they believe that at some point in the past, the two had interbred. Not much is known about the Denisovans except for the fact that they first moved to the cave 287,000 years ago and then occupied it on and off for some 55,000 years until the arrival of the Neanderthals. Like the Neanderthals, the cause of the extinction of the Denisovans is unknown. Did their population wither away due to factors like disease or wars, or were they forcefully eradicated? We can only speculate. Number 1. Theopetra Cave. The Theopetra Cave is a popular archaeological site located near Meteora in the central region of Thessaly, Greece. The result of extensive archaeological excavations conducted over the years helped reveal some of the most staggering findings, including the fact that it has been inhabited as nearly as 130,000 years ago. Located on the slopes of a limestone hill overlooking the town where it gets its name, Theopetra Cave offers archaeologists a direct observation of human habitation and activity from the Middle Paleolithic to the end of the Neolithic period. One of the most interesting facets of the cavern is a stone wall that was used to block 2/3 of the entrance to the interior chamber. Anthropologists surmise that this ancient stone structure was constructed around 25,000 years ago, probably as a barrier against the cold winds. It was around this period that the planet was experiencing an ice age, which explains the harsh weather conditions back then. It is now thought to be the oldest known example of a man-made structure in Greece, and perhaps even in the entire world. As to how these early settlers were able to construct such an object, no one knows. Like an endless trove of enigma, the Theopetra Cave continues to offer more interesting discoveries through the years since investigations first started back in 1987. In 2009, for example, there were found at least 3 sets of footprints made by the cave's hominid inhabitants. They were imprinted onto the soft earth floor, and based on their shape and size, they were assumed to be from Neanderthal children between the ages of 2 and 4 years old. The world is yet to know what interesting stories these footprints hold. Meanwhile, to appease the curiosity of the public, a documentation and education center was put up near the entrance of the cave. The venue basically hosts numerous objects taken from the excavations that took place in 1987 up to the present times. Its goal is to give visitors a small glimpse of our mysterious prehistoric past. So there were 5 hidden secrets from ancient caves. Whether your goal is to simply satiate your craving for adventure, or if you actually want to take a peek into what life once was eons ago, these ancient caverns compel you to get inside and uncover their long-held secrets. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then check out some of our other ones. remember to subscribe to our channel because each week we have 2 new videos coming out. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.